Trump administration officials clashed with Sacramento over immigration. We'll hear from local activists.
A fire in a USC dorm has displaced students. We'll hear from them about the damage.
And could hot yoga make you sick? We'll tell you how to stay healthy while working out.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
What Jeff Sessions said is simply not true. And I call upon him to apologize to the people of California.
State and federal officials are headed to court over sanctuary cities. Good evening, I'm Leslie Ambries.
And I'm Taylor Edgell. Attorney General Jeff Sessions filed a formal lawsuit today against the state of California. Sessions warned, quote, there is no secession, end quote, from federal jurisdiction.
Here's my message to Mayor Schaaf. How dare you? How dare you needlessly endanger the lives of our law enforcement officers to promote a radical open borders agenda?
Shortly after Sessions' speech, California Governor Jerry Brown strongly denounced the lawsuit at a news conference in the state capitol.
This is completely unprecedented for the chief law enforcement of the United States to come out here and engage in a political stunt, make wild accusations, many of which are based on outright lies. That's unusual. And particularly a fellow coming from Alabama.
We spoke to USC political science professor Arthur Auerbach about how he predicts the lawsuit will go.
I think it's going to languish for quite a while in the district court and be appealed up to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal. And typically the Ninth Circuit is a fairly liberal circuit. And because of that, that would probably err more on the side of the state's rights as opposed to the federal government. But it could make its way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. Time will have to tell. The political ideology of the Supreme Court is right-leaning, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the Trump administration will win the issue.
Here in Los Angeles, local leaders and activists are condemning the suit too. Today, members of the Movement for Immigrant Justice and Equity Coalition gathered to share their frustrations about the Trump administration.
I was just a few weeks old.
Astrid Garcia came to the United States before she could even walk and considers California her home.
I mean, most of us don't even know back home. This is our home, actually.
She's protected under TPS, known as Temporary Protected Status. Today, she's joining with the Immigrant Justice and Equity Coalition at LA City Hall.
We have no fear from what Jeff Sessions is trying to do to the Californians, And so why this coalition has come together is exactly to resist.
Activists share their plans to resist the Trump administration's attempts to remove TPS and fight the lawsuit against California.
From Sacramento to the steps of LA City Hall, we've been ready for this fight. Washington, D.C., look closely because you've met your match.
Councilmember Curran Price and the coalition are not the only ones speaking out against Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Today, Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti tweeted, "While the federal government wastes time and resources on threats, we will continue to focus on keeping our people safe." According to the Public Policy Institute of California, 1 out of 10 workers out of the 2 million immigrants in California is undocumented. California has the 6th largest economy, and California Attorney General Xavier Becerra tweeted earlier saying, "If someone tries to stop the 6th largest economy in the world from doing the things that have made it successful, we're going to be there to protect our state and protect our people." Undocumented Californians like Astrid Garcia are now waiting to see if California will win the lawsuit and what this means for their future. President Trump is planning to visit California next week to raise money and inspect prototypes of his border wall. This will be his first visit as president to the state he has described as out of control. A small fire and flooding from the sprinkler system at New North has left a group of freshmen temporarily out of their dorms. Annenberg Media's Aton Wallace is live in front of New North, where repairs are underway.
Well, Leslie, keep in mind it's been nearly 2 weeks since that fire and subsequent sprinkler damage took place right here at New North. That left some students displaced, and it could leave them displaced for quite some time.
This is what it looked like minutes after a small fire broke out on the 3rd floor at USC's freshman New North dorm nearly 2 weeks ago.
The whole wall was charred. It smelled like ash.
Cheyenne Cohenteb lives in the room next to where the fire started. He says an overloaded surge protector exploded and that flooding from sprinklers caused extensive damage. Earlier this week, USC Housing confirmed the incident with Annenberg Media, adding no one was injured.
Which is very frustrating.
Frustrating because he and 25 of his floor mates had to move to the Radisson Hotel across the street.
I was just annoyed by it. I didn't want it to go through it. I was in the middle of 2 midterms.
For some students, like Cody Ela, it took some time to get help from USC Housing.
The first night they said, you guys need to find somewhere to sleep for tonight. We were trying to figure this all out right now. And then the next night they moved us to the Radisson, but the Radisson was full. So half of my hall got placed in the study lounge, and they slept in the study lounge for that night.
Annenberg Media reached out to USC Housing today to get a comment on their initial handling of the incident and did not hear back. But Ela says USC Housing has been responsive recently.
Been very communicative, and we've been in contact with one woman in housing who's been very, accessible.
USC Housing has started construction to repair the damage. Students say the entire process has been stressful.
No matter how much they help, I still had to move out of my room, relocate, and then I'm gonna have to relocate back into my room. It's supposed to be home, and so it sucks to have to move out of your home.
And we should point out some students have been able to return back to their dorms here. Now, as for those students still at the Radisson Hotel, well, representatives from USC Housing tell me they hope those students will be able to return back to their dorms here on March 19th. That's the first Monday after spring break. We're reporting live here in front of New North. I'm Eitan Wallace for Annenberg Media. Taylor, let's send it back to you.
Thanks, Eitan. There was a three-way accident at the intersection of 23rd Street and Hoover this afternoon. No one was hurt, but the cars were damaged. LAPD and LAFD were on the scene. LAPD told us a grandmother and her granddaughter were in one of the cars. No word yet on what caused the accident.
We have breaking news. Classes at Pierce College in Woodland Hills have been canceled following a threat made to the campus. The campus is expected to reopen tomorrow. We will continue to monitor the situation and bring you any new information as we get it.
A new study claims there is a serious lack of diversity amongst administrators and faculty in California's public higher education system. The Campaign for College Opportunity analyzed data on UC schools, Cal State universities, and California community colleges from 2016 to 2017. Even though 69% of California public college students are people of color, most of the tenured faculty are white, 63% to be exact. Among academic senators, that number is even higher at 74%.
We know from research that when you have faculty members and campus leadership that, reflect the student body, that they institute policies, practices, and they create an environment that really allows for students to flourish. And so to think that in California, as diverse as a state as we are, that we still have our centers of power and leadership predominantly white is just...
The University of California had this response, quote, UC has expanded its efforts and is making progress. New faculty hires over the past 5 years are more diverse in terms of both race and gender than the overall current population. And this from California Community Colleges, quote, the community college system has already implemented many of the recommendations identified in the report, end quote. The California State University did not respond in time for this broadcast.
Dozens of activists took part in a rally today in support of LA's controversial Recicla program. Several LA City Council members want to eliminate the program, citing high fees and bad service as major problems. But the Don't Waste LA Coalition says Recicla's benefits outweigh a few service complaints.
I think it's important to contextualize when it comes to service issues and missed pickups that prior to this system, there was no way to document that. And when we hear about the complaints, they actually account for less than 1% of the 3.5 million pickups that took place successfully over that same time period.
The Don't Waste LA Coalition says their next step is to ensure that Angelenos understand the Recicla system and know how to use it effectively. The results are in for the early Senate and congressional primaries in Texas. Incumbent Republican Senator Ted Cruz won an easy victory among GOP voters and spoke about the winning Democratic candidate, Congressman Beto O'Rourke.
Congressman O'Rourke is running hard to the left. He is embracing positions like open borders, like amnesty. He's embracing positions like aggressive advocacy of gun control and undermining our Second Amendment. Now, those are wonderfully popular positions if you're running for the Senate in New York or Massachusetts or California. But this is Texas, and those are not the views of the vast majority of Texans.
O'Rourke is a three-term congressman from the El Paso area. He has raised more money than Senator Cruz in this campaign cycle while refusing contributions from PACs.
We're doing it without a dime of PAC money, corporate cash, special interest contributions. It's just people, the people of Texas we want to serve and represent.
Cruz and O'Rourke will face off in the general election on November 6th. Student government is working to change the name of a distinctive building on campus. We'll talk to students involved in the effort.
How can virtual reality be used for activism and empathy? We'll talk to engineers and journalists on the cutting edge. Is hot yoga a health hazard? We'll talk to experts about the risks.
Guess what? I have some news for you. There's free food right there, junk food. You see that truck? Oh, jeez. It's a 2 Michelin star chef. All for free, ladies and gentlemen. All for free.
Here we have a panzanella with summer vegetables and pesto. Enjoy. How we doing?
Fantastic. So what do you got going on underneath that plate there?
This food is really about to be thrown away.
Yeah.
Is there something wrong with this food? Where did you get it from?
From farmers markets. They put aside the ugly vegetables and the ugly fruits.
Carrot top, soft avocados. It was all food that was going to be discarded.
Even the drink you had is made from like a little bruised peach. Did it taste a little bruised?
Great. That was good.
The average person throws away 24 pounds of food a month.
That's a lot.
Isn't that a lot? Go visit savethefood.com for more information. Thank you. Junk food time!
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow?
No.
Snow-covered trees.
Nothing to do with snow.
Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones.
Don't even.
And explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you.
Californians are still dealing with the ongoing flu epidemic. Annenberg Media's Brittany Hope takes a look inside one place where germs may be more common than you think.
Megan Scarlatelli used to be a hot yoga fanatic.
I saw results. I felt better. I looked better.
But now she swears she will never step foot in a heated yoga room ever again.
I definitely do miss it, but just for my health, it wasn't worth it to me.
After going to Core Power yoga classes every single day for 2 months, Scarlatelli was diagnosed with pneumonia.
I had extreme chills, extreme body aches, fatigue.
Her doctor told her he had seen multiple patients during the recent flu season who developed respiratory issues after doing hot yoga.
Once you get pneumonia and you feel something like that, you don't really want to feel it again.
We reached out to Core Power for a statement and received no response. Dr. Sarah Van Orman is the Chief Health Officer of the Engelman Student Health Center. She says there is no direct correlation between hot yoga and respiratory illness. But enclosed workout rooms are the perfect place for germs to jump.
Don't go if you're sick. That is an environment where we see colds and flus spreading.
The director of Bikram Yoga in downtown LA says their studios have taken steps to prevent the spread of germs.
For sure, people can get sick after class if they're not taking necessary precautions.
She says the studio has a heating system that purifies the air, as well as hospital-grade flooring that kills bacteria upon contact.
There's a lot of things you can do yourself to avoid those post-class germs.
Washing your mat,
avoiding making any contact with your eyes before washing your hands, and drinking lots of water will help you stay in the clear. For Annenberg Media, I'm Brittany Hope.
Some USG senators want to change the name of USC's von Kleidsmith Center. the iconic building with flags and the globe. They say the name should be changed because VKC is named after a former USC president who supported the eugenics movement.
One of the first things that somebody told me about this campus was the kind of horrifying history of Rufus von Kleinsmith and the kind of crippling irony of the fact that we have an international relations center named after a eugenicist, someone who actively contributed to that movement.
Rufus von Kleinsmith was prominent in the eugenics movement. This belief in selective breeding as a way to improve the human race was adopted by the Nazis during World War II. 2 USG senators are proposing a task force to look into changing the name of the building. In a statement to USC Annenberg Media, USC Provost Michael Quick said, "This could be the topic of an interesting intellectual conversation about our university's history. I welcome that discussion." USG Senator Preston Frigier has started a petition to change the name of the von Kleinsmith building. More than 500 people have signed the petition on USC's Facebook page.
Well, Leslie, it seems like it's been warming up lately, which is pretty good for people who plan to stay here over spring break.
Yeah, seriously. Hopefully the t-shirt days are here to stay, but let's check in with our weather anchor, Trevor, and see what we can expect.
Well, guys, unfortunately, if you're looking for that warm t-shirt and shorts weather that we've been enjoying lately, I have some bad news. Rain is in the forecast. But first, we'll get to that later. Let's take a look at our current conditions outside. It's 64 degrees and overcast, so it's only going to get colder, chillier, windier as the sun heads down. So you're going to want to break out those jackets, and probably shorts aren't the best idea tonight and throughout the rest of the week. But let's take a look at tomorrow's forecast. Up into the mountains in Big Bear, it's going to be 56 degrees. So going to warm up from last week to this week, but probably get colder next week. And the Inland Empire, 78 degrees, and over in the desert, 83 degrees. So high 70s, low 80s over there, but let's move on up the coast and up into Simi Valley, 74 degrees. And then if you look, the ocean effect is clear in Malibu at 63 degrees, and then mid 70s for Thousand Oaks and Northridge. Now moving down into the LA basin, USC is going to be 73 degrees, 75 degrees in Anaheim, and then about upper 60s or so for LAX and Long Beach, and then upper 70s as you get closer inland in Pasadena, Ontario, and Glendale. Now, moving on to the 5-day forecast, as you can see, those rain clouds are going to come in Saturday and Sunday. You're going to see about 70 degrees on Thursday and Friday, but as that southwestern flow moves in Saturday and Sunday, you're going to see a lot more rain, probably only about half an inch to an inch or so, but again, it's going to affect the weather. You're going to see mid 60s, but then back on Monday, we're going to get back into the weather we've been enjoying with 72 degrees or so. Now, for those of you heading home to the Northeast over spring break, you may see the effects of yet another major winter storm. It's the second in as many weeks. A nor'easter, or a small winter cyclone, is hitting the East Coast today and tomorrow, causing thousands of canceled flights and more power outages. While most major cities will only see a couple of inches of snow, some places are expecting up to 1.5 feet. The National Weather Service says that they've already seen some strange weather.
If you don't have to travel in areas where there's heavy snow, you probably shouldn't. The snow is falling very hard in some places. It's probably falling hard enough where snowplows are not going to be able to keep up with the ability to remove snow. It's what we just saw in portions of New Jersey with the thunder and lightning, two different people being struck by lightning. That's very unusual during the winter storm.
The storm should lighten up by Friday, so if you're flying out this weekend, you shouldn't have to worry. And if you're headed to Cabo, you don't have to worry at all. But spring break should be fun for just about everyone. It'll be nice to take a nice break from everything else.
Except those on the East Coast. Thank you so much, Trevor. The USC Shoah Foundation showcased the story of a Holocaust survivor today with virtual reality. The experience, called The Last Goodbye, lets users have a conversation with Pinchas Guter about his experiences in Nazi concentration camps. Users can ask Guter questions and even join him on a visit to the camp. Creators say the project will help younger generations empathize with the tragedy they couldn't have experienced firsthand.
What we want our visitors
our viewers to experience is it's not just about history, it's about how that history informs who you are, how you think about the world, seeing the possibilities architecturally that someone would build a place to kill other people and to stand in that place in virtual reality and get a sense of its dimension and its scale just shows you the possibilities of where hatred can lead.
The project is the first testimony from a Holocaust survivor to be archived on VR. Creators say as more people adopt this form, they hope these stories will live on forever when they would otherwise be lost. So Lauren, what's happening with USC sports today?
I can tell you. Well, just to start things off, Pac-12 tournament play for men's basketball started today, and we'll have live score updates for you next. Spring football practice has begun. What players should we keep an eye out for as we get closer and closer to season? And the women's water polo team is just finishing up their game home opener over UC Irvine. We'll break down the action when sports comes back in 90 seconds.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
Did you know parking over tall, dry grass can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to sports. Lots of students are already checked out for spring break, but USC athletes aren't getting a break anytime soon. Our sports correspondent Victoria Garrick has more on the women's lacrosse team who played earlier this afternoon. Over to you, Victoria.
Thanks, Lauren. I wish I had better news to give you, but the women of Troy suffered a heartbreaking loss in overtime just 30 minutes ago on McAllister Field. The number 12 ranked Trojans were beaten 13-12 by the number 5 ranked Boston College Eagles. Before tonight, the Trojans had never lost a game on McAllister Field with 22 consecutive games won. We caught up with sophomore Kerrigan Miller after the game.
Coming into this game, we just felt it was an opportunity to get better, an opportunity to just see where we're at. Obviously, it's early in the season, and BC's an awesome team. They're a top 5 team. So we kind of went in here like we had nothing to lose, and we didn't, and just riled up for the good competition.
While the final score was disappointing for the team, sophomore Kerrigan Miller will walk away from the game as the Trojans' most valuable player. Miller led the team with 5 goals, then added 3 caused turnovers, 3 draw controls, and 2 ground balls. A truly incredible game from the sophomore middle fielder. The Trojans have 2 days to regroup and prepare for their first ever Pac-12 game against Arizona State this Saturday, where they will fight to begin a new win streak on McAllister Field. Back to you, Lauren.
Thank you, Victoria. Heading to the pool for a home opener, the 3rd-ranked women's water polo team just took down UC Irvine, who's ranked 7th in the nation. The women of Troy have dominated the game the whole time. Sophomore utility player Maud Megans led the women of Troy with 4 goals, and 6 other women of Troy also scored, bringing the total score ultimately to 13-7. This victory puts the women of Troy at an 11-1 record, which they've been bouncing around between number 1 and number 3 spots and currently find themselves ranked 3rd in the nation. But there is still plenty of season left for the women of Troy to break into that top spot over Stanford and Cal, especially if they can pull out a win over the 5th-ranked Rainbow Wahine tomorrow at 5 p.m. And the men's Pac-12 basketball tournament starts today. In fact, number 10 Oregon State and number 7 Washington are actually playing right now. Checking out this live score update, you can see that the Huskies are leading Oregon State by 5 with 14 minutes into the first half. The winner of this game will take on the Trojans in the quarterfinals tomorrow at 6 p.m. The Trojans did beat the Beavers twice, but unfortunately lost to the Huskies in the regular season. So although the Trojans got a first-round bye in the tournament as one of the top 4 ranked schools in the conference, they'll have to be at their best in order to beat the Huskies if they do come out with the win. Next up, loud whistles, a line of fans and news crews outside of Cromwell, and yes, an appearance by your favorite Pittsburgh Steeler can only mean one thing. Spring football has started. Yesterday was day 1 for the Trojans, and head coach Clay Helton talked about the big shoes that need to be filled.
There may not be a superstar right now on this team, and I told our team that. That's not a bad thing. By the end of the year, let's hope we have some superstars. But right now, I see strength in numbers, and I see depth at each position, which is nice.
Despite a lack of superstars, there were definitely some standouts, including the long-awaited return of Porter Gustin, whose intensity, Helton says, quote, sets the standard for how practice should be, end quote. The battle for the starting quarterback position brewing between Matt Fink and Jack Sears is also something to watch. And what is a USC football practice without a visit from former Trojan wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster? The current Pittsburgh Steeler was turning heads in his full camo outfit. We'll just have to wait and see if the Trojans will get another visit at tomorrow's practice. That is quite the outfit, guys. I don't know what you think about that.
It really was. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for the sports update.
A local attorney makes a big appeal to one of the biggest names in sports.
We'll tell you about his grand gesture next.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
迷惑ボーイ。
ここはなんとかしなくちゃ。
スーパーカインドの交通機関案内。
When you ride on the bus or rail, don't eat popcorn, meat, or kale. Food can smell and it makes a mess. Keep LA Metro clean and fresh. Come along with me, let's go. It's time to ride on the Metro. When eating food causes problems, you know Super Kind will be there to solve them. Come along with me, let's go. It's time to ride on the Metro. When eating food causes problems, you know Super Kind will be there to solve them.
The current NBA season is far from over, but Lakers fans are already trying to convince LeBron James to come to LA. Lakers superfan and LA attorney James Emrani paid for 4 billboards asking LeBron to join the team. Similar billboards went up in Philadelphia asking LeBron to play for the 76ers. Lakers fans will have to wait until July for LeBron to make his decision about the season. Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. For everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Leslie Ambrose.
And I'm Taylor Edgell. But first, Lauren, what do you think of those billboards?
Those are something. I must say I'm a big fan. I would love for LeBron to come here.
That'd be awesome. What do you guys think?
Amazing. I'm down for it. Let's bring him here.
Well, guys, I'm Taylor Edgell. You can watch us on the web at uscannenbergmedia.com. Have a good night.